interim executive director at 3S Art Space currently. I took that role about a month ago now, so I'm here working with emerging arts, and it's just a different form of a startup. I'm used to more technology startups. It's just a different learning experience for me. Actually, interestingly, 3S came to me through the meaning of entrepreneurship class. So I was on a panel, one of the panel discussions with a board member, Evan, and it really intrigued me that there would be, art and food and music and creating and held space for the artists all in one space. So I actually joined the board right after the class, and New Heights, where I'm also on the board, I was a mentor for the executive director, Tracy, who's in the class, and I helped her get ready for an amp award where she pitched to an audience to win $25,000. And I really love what they're doing. So my focus has always been on, entrepreneurship, but also on, future generations and paying it forward. So I've been involved with Girls on the Run, that I've served on a number of boards that I feel have impact on the community and are also important to future generations. 3S is 3 spaces, so it's a flexible performance space, a restaurant, and a gallery. And in phase 2, it will be artist studios and a learning center. We opened our doors in March, but the project had been in the making for 6 years. And to date, we've raised about $2.8 million for the community to build this space. And we still have a ways to go. We're still raising probably another $600,000 or $700,000 to complete the capital campaign. And we're a startup, so we're finding our way. We're figuring out what works in the space, what doesn't work in the space. We're facing all those startup bumps in the road. When we first opened, some of our programming in the performance space was a little narrow, so people didn't really know who the musicians were, the bands were, and so it was hard for them to feel connected and inclusive in the space, and we're working to expand out the programming from here. So it's just learning as we go and hoping that we're meeting our requirements to the community, what we promised the community, and making sure that this is a community held space for the future. It's a variety of people coming into the space, so one night we may have drone music that appeals to a certain age demographic, or another night we've had things like an architectural lecture or a film. And so from an age demographic, we've had everything from little kids to 80 and 90-year-olds. I think our sweet spot in terms of age is probably around 25 to 50. In terms of the culture, I think the culture is evolving as you add employees into the mix. You look for qualities and characteristics that create a synergistic team, and we're really lucky because we haven't been around that long that we get to really define and create our culture as we go forward. I don't think there's anything like this in the Seacoast. The amount of community programming that has happened in the space since we opened has been huge. We've held the TEDx talks in the spring. We'll be hosting them again next spring. We've done Arts and Reach and any number of nonprofit-based programming that allows this space to be utilized. We've done community forums for the city council elections. And eventually when there's artists upstairs creating, it'll just create this nice synergy that there really doesn't exist anywhere else in town today. My typical work day is pretty crazy. I wear a lot of different hats. I'm here at 3S most days, but the other day I went to New Heights and was meeting with Tracy, and they had a lockdown while I was there, so they practiced a lockdown. I spent a lot of time meeting with donors and potential board members and community members to build stronger partnerships. And this is just I have a lot of coffee meetings. So I drink a lot of coffee and try to build, I think Tracy calls me the connection builder, and that's what a typical day looks like. It could be 3 coffee meetings and sitting in a programming meeting like you just sat in. After this, I have a potential board member coming through for a tour. So it varies. I've always been interested in entrepreneurship. It's interesting, I was talking to some people about 3S Art Space and how I admire entrepreneurs, and artists are a form of entrepreneurs. It's like that creative, the ability to see things that didn't exist, the creativity in people that can make them think of new ideas and new companies or art spaces where nothing existed before. And I think that it amazes me, and I like to learn about it. So I think that's part of the reason why I'm so invested in entrepreneurship. I started out in a public company in Danbury, and they transferred me to California when I was 23 to head up their West Coast finance division of their $30 million, like a $30 million subsidiary. And I really missed being close to, I love the job, but I missed being close to the action, like mergers and acquisitions and all the fun stuff was happening at corporate. So I left there when I was 27. I became the COO of a precision manufacturing company, and I grew them from 12 to 70 million in 2.5 years. And then I decided I really wanted to get into venture capital. So my career was more about learning, and I love to learn. It doesn't matter what industry it is as much as it is about the business models. But the fun part was figuring them out and finding creative ways to solve problems that people in those industries may not have thought about because they're so steeped in them. I made a decision 3 years ago to spend some time focusing and giving back to the community, and I've been doing that. I don't really know what the future's going to bring. I mean, I love working with nonprofits, and I love solving problems, but I love having impact. So whatever I do, whatever that road looks like, it will be doing things where I feel like I can add value and have impact either to the corporation or the school or the nonprofit. It's the same thing. Undercapitalization is probably the biggest challenge that I faced, especially when I go into a turnaround situation. I think being early to the market, so a great idea, but the market's not quite ready for your product. I've seen that as well over the years. And it's really it's about setting yourself up for success, not taking an opportunity unless the capital is there or the commitment of resources is there or the commitment to make changes is there. They're actually not monetary. I mean, I had a company that I did a turnaround for a couple years ago, and when I went in, the CEO was very skeptical of working with me because here's a turnaround person that was sent in by investors, and I'm very thoughtful with my companies that I work with, and I want to understand and learn the culture, and I really try to figure out the best possible outcome for everybody. I'm not there for the investors. I'm there to help create a holistic solution to a problem. So it's nice to have the monetary reward, but it's also nice to know that I can work and do the hard work I have to do and still build relationships and have people know that I do that in a thoughtful way without just coming in and ripping and replacing. I don't know, my definition of entrepreneurship keeps changing. As I said earlier, I was talking to a group of artists yesterday, and I'm like, you're entrepreneurs. Like, you take a blank piece of paper or whatever it is and you draw on it, and it's something that you never thought of. Like, some of these posters are just, they're creative things in people's heads, and they turn into ideas, and then they turn into art, or they turn into software, or they turn into whatever idea it is, and that's amazing to me. And I feel like that's what entrepreneurship really is.